Okay, so imagine this, right? You're scrolling through your feed
Mm-hmm.
and you see Winston Churchill, actually see him delivering this really powerful speech about, say, sustainable energy.
Wow.
Or maybe a young Martin Luther King Jr. sharing his thoughts on, the future of artificial intelligence.
It sounds incredible, doesn't it? Almost like looking into another reality.
Exactly. But this technology, the one that lets us recreate voices, likenesses, historical figures
Wow.
using deepfake broadcasting,
Yeah,
well, it's also kicking up some really complex questions.
definitely.
And today, that's exactly what we're diving into, the implications of, well, bringing the past back to life like this.
It's honestly remarkable how quickly this field has moved. I mean, not that long ago.
Right?
The idea of a really convincing digital version of, like,
Mm-hmm.
Einstein
Mm-hmm.
or Marilyn Monroe, that was pure science fiction.
Totally.
But now, we can generate incredibly realistic audio, video of people who aren't with us anymore.
Like the Anthony Bourdain thing in that documentary?
Exactly. His voice, synthesized, just carrying on his storytelling. It was seamless.
Yeah.
Or think about David Beckham, seeming to speak 9 languages fluently.
Oh, yeah, for that campaign. Deepfake dubbing, right?
Precisely. And then you've got stuff like the interactive AI Salvador Dali in that museum.
Surreal.
Oh,
It was like meeting him.
it really makes you think, doesn't it? About that line between the physical world and the digital one. It's getting blurrier.
For sure.
So maybe the place to start, the core idea for you listening is
Yeah.
when we can basically bring back the dead, digitally speaking.
Yeah.
Who controls the message? Who decides what they say?
That's a perfect jumping off point.
Hey.
Because it throws us right into some, well, fascinating and slightly scary territory.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just play this out, like some thought experiments. What if you saw Abraham Lincoln
Okay.
endorsing a political party for the 2025 election?
Oof. Yeah.
Or, I don't know, Princess Diana popping up in a car ad for some luxury brand she'd never, ever have touched.
Right. Or Nelson Mandela promoting some product that, completely contradicted his values.
Exactly. These aren't just like wild what ifs. They point to some potentially serious problems.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
one of the biggest, most basic issues right away is consent and, legacy.
The fact you just can't ask them.
Precisely.
Mhm.
We can't get permission from the deceased. We can guess, maybe, but we'll never know if someone like Robin Williams
Oh, yeah.
would have thought it was funny or just, exploitative to have an AI pumping out new stand-up routines in his voice.
Or would MLK Jr. have seen using his AI voice in, like, a modern social media campaign as extending his message or twisting it?
Exactly. There's this inherent tension, isn't there, between wanting to remember and honor these people
Yeah.
and the risk of misrepresenting what they actually stood for, even if the intent is good.
And that's where, the families, the estates, even the fans, their views become so critical.
Yeah.
Even for stuff like education or tributes.
Mm-hmm.
How do we make sure these AI portrayals are accurate and respectful?
It feels like charting unknown waters, doesn't it?
Totally. No map.
And it leads straight into another huge area, that blurring line between what's real and what's, well, fake.
Uh-huh.
AI tech has just made it incredibly easy to manipulate audio, video. You can make it look like anyone said anything.
It's actually a bit chilling when you think about the possibilities. Imagine a deepfake video, totally convincing,
Yeah.
of JFK questioning the moon landing.
Oh, wow.
Or, like, Gandhi suddenly criticizing nonviolence.
It undermines everything, potentially.
These aren't just abstract worries, are they? They could genuinely mess with our understanding of history, erode trust in, well, everything we see and hear.
And if you zoom out, the bigger risk.
Yeah.
It's a fundamental attack on our shared sense of reality.
How so?
Well, if we get to a point where you genuinely can't tell the difference between real historical records and, super sophisticated AI fakes.
Then what's true?
Exactly.
Right.
The whole idea of objective truth just becomes fragile, negotiable almost.
Which has massive implications for how we see the past, how we deal with the present.
Absolutely. And beyond these sort of logical questions of consent and truth, there's the emotional side, the cultural impact.
Right. Because on one hand, hearing the voice of someone important you've lost, it could be comforting, maybe even inspiring.
Could be. It could offer new ways to educate, connect. But flip that coin, it could also reopen old wounds, kind of real distress.
How do you mean?
Well, imagine seeing an ad, and it features a deep fake of your parent who passed away.
Oh, God, no.
Or maybe some notorious historical figure, a war criminal, apologizing via AI.
Yeah, that feels Wrong. Deeply wrong.
Even if the tech is new and kind of fascinating, the potential for exploitation, for feeling invasive, it's huge.
It really hammers home that this isn't just about code and algorithms. It hits us right in the feelings, the memories.
Our connections to people.
Yeah. Which brings us to another angle, maybe less emotional, but just as important, the money.
Ah, yes. The commercial temptation.
Because recreating dead celebrities, that's potentially a massive business, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. A multi-million-dollar one, potentially.
Hmm.
We're already seeing Hollywood studios dipping their toes in.
Posthumous AI contracts for sequels, ads.
Hologram concerts, you name it, they're exploring it.
And that kicks off a whole other debate, right? Is it continuing a legacy, keeping icons relevant?
Or is it just selling out someone's memory?
Right.
Profiting from someone who has no say anymore?
It feels uncomfortable.
Look at James Earl Jones. He consented, while alive, to having his Darth Vader voice cloned by AI.
Right, that was a big deal.
It is. But it raises the immediate next question. What happens to that AI voice model when he's no longer here?
Who owns it? Who controls it?
Exactly. And that throws us right into the legal fog.
Can you copyright a voice? Can you patent a persona?
These aren't theoretical questions anymore. These legal gray areas are being tested right now in real time.
And the answers will shape everything. Performance rights, media, even what identity means online.
And given all this complexity, ethical, commercial, legal, Hannah, it's no surprise that governments and organizations are starting to wake up to the potential for abuse.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
There's definitely a growing awareness, a need to address the risks. Disinformation, exploitation.
Yeah.
It's on the radar.
Are we seeing actual rules starting to form? Regulations?
We are starting to see some moves. In the U.S., some states are bringing in laws against unauthorized deepfakes.
Especially the really harmful stuff. Politics, porn.
Exactly. And you see places like China requiring labels on AI-generated content. The EU's AI Act is looking at broader rules, too, around transparency, accountability.
Okay, so things are happening.
Yes, but the technology moves so fast, legislation often lags way behind. It's a constant game of catch-up.
Which leaves us with some big questions still hanging, doesn't it? Like, where do we draw the lines?
Crucial questions. Should AI deepfakes always be clearly labeled? Mandatory labels.
Should using a dead person's likeness always need permission from their estate? No exceptions.
Is there ever a case where recreating someone's voice without authorization is okay?
These are tough. Really tough. No easy answers anywhere.
It really highlights the need for, well, a two-pronged approach. Strong legal frameworks and a solid ethical compass.
Transparency and responsibility.
Without both, the potential for this tech to become a tool for deception. It's pretty significant.
But, and this is important, it's not all doom and gloom, right? We shouldn't forget the potential upside.
Absolutely not. When it's used thoughtfully, ethically, there's huge positive potential, especially, I think, in education.
So let's pivot to that. What are some of those promising uses for AI voices from the past?
Well, think about making history truly interactive. Imagine students, like having a conversation with an AI Socrates.
Asking philosophical questions, getting responses based on his actual teaching.
Exactly. Or consider the power of preserving Holocaust survivors' voices through AI.
So future generations can hear their stories directly.
In a way that feels personal, immediate. It's incredibly profound.
Wow. Yeah. Or historical reenactments.
Yeah.
With AI characters speaking with authentic voices, accents.
Guided by historical records, it could make learning so much more immersive, emotionally engaging, build a real connection to the past.
Okay, that does sound genuinely beneficial.
It really can be. When it's done with care, with respect, with the right permissions, AI voices can be a bridge to history.
A bridge, not a betrayal.
Well put. The key is always ethics, always respect for the people being represented.
Which kind of circles back to a deeper question, doesn't it? As we get better and better at mimicking the dead, what does that say about what it means to be human?
That really gets to the heart of it. What is personhood? Is it just, how we look and sound?
Or is there something more?
Yeah.
Something intangible?
Our consciousness, our intentions, the sum of our experiences, things that AI, currently can't replicate.
And that's the key thing to hold on to, isn't it? AI can crunch data, reproduce patterns, create amazing simulations.
But it doesn't have consciousness, not genuine lived experience.
Yeah.
Not yet, anyway.
So even if an AI sounds exactly like Maya Angelou,
Or looks just like Steve Jobs.
or argues like Malcolm X.
It's still fundamentally a simulation.
Yeah.
An echo, a shadow.
not the real person.
You're never the real person.
And remembering that difference feels vital. If we forget, we risk blurring remembrance with fabrication. We could end up erasing the very humanity we're trying to preserve.
Right. These digital ghosts, impressive as they are, should point us back to the real individuals, not replace them.
So when we wrap up this deep dive, this whole deepfake broadcasting thing,
Yeah.
it really reflects us, doesn't it?
How so?
Our desires to remember, to learn, maybe to profit, maybe even kind of to play God a little.
That's a powerful way to put it. It reflects our human urges.
Mhm.
Memory, knowledge, innovation, boundary pushing.
And with that kind of power, the power to recreate, reimagine, comes huge responsibility.
Absolutely. The choices we're making right now, while this is all still relatively new,
Synthetic voices, digital ghosts.
these choices will set the stage for how truth, memory, and legacy are handled for generations.
Which brings us back to that fundamental question you posed earlier. It's not just, can we do this anymore?
The real question is, should we? What are the long-term consequences? How do we make sure this serves humanity, respects the past? That's what you, the listener, need to grapple with.
Well, thank you for joining us on this exploration. It's been a lot to think about, this complex world of AI voices from the past.
Yeah, definitely food for thought. We really hope this deep dive gave you some valuable perspectives.
And we encourage you, keep engaging with this. Stay informed, as the tech develops.
Stay skeptical about what you see and hear online. Exercise that critical thinking.
And maybe, just maybe, in this increasingly digital age,
Yeah.
the most important thing is to really cherish our own unique, messy, unreplicable human experiences.
Couldn't agree more. Until our next deep dive, keep questioning, keep learning.
And stay human.